Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. So does the next Superman film have to star Henry Cavill? Let me know in the comments down below, by the way. My opinion is no, not necessarily. I like Henry Cavill. He's a gentleman. He's very talented. He's been a great Superman. But I don't feel it has to star him. The next film doesn't have to star him. Now, for a lot of people, it's non-negotiable. Henry Cavill has to be Superman, but not for me. As a business and, as a structure, Henry Cavill's always going to be kind of linked with the DC Extended Universe, which many people perceive as a failure and a set of bad movies. Now, as you know, I don't think BVS and MOS are bad movies, and I think the Snyder Cut is a sensational movie. But we're talking about, unfortunately, the mainstream audience because they're so important to the future of DC Universe. But, for me personally, as much as I love Snyder, as much as I love a lot of the films in the DC EU, I would burn the DC EU down and start from scratch. Because I think if the plan from James Gunn and Peter Safran is to continue with the actors from the DCEU, I think there's going to be a problem. Multiple people have tried to save this franchise. It's still hobbling on. It's like an old man with all his organs failing, but still hobbling on. That's what the DCEU is. And it's become unpregnable. It's become indestructible. I don't believe any other franchise in this position would still be out there. We've got 4 movies for this franchise next year, and it's amazing how we're still here, still talking about if, such and such can save the DCEU. Well, there's no DCEU now. There's the DC Universe. Whether or not these movies coming out next year are still classed as DCEU or DC Universe, nobody knows, because James Gunn, who loves to talk a lot to the fans, which is great, hasn't even kind of given us any kind of clarity about that either. But to me, Henry Cavill doesn't have to play Superman ever again. And as I say, that's going to upset a lot of people, me saying that, but I mean it. I can love Henry Cavill as Superman. I can think he's a great Superman. I mean, I even felt when Superman 4 was coming out that we needed a new Superman actor to push it forward. And I loved Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve was my first Superman. Without Christopher Reeve, I would never have fallen in love with this character. Let's be absolutely clear about. These opinions don't come, from hatred. They come from kind of wanting a future, a good future with a good execution of the character going forward. And the future of this character is very important because nobody has been able to capture that genie in a bottle since what Dick Donner did with Superman the movie. Yes, there's other Superman projects that have been moderately successful, but none of them have ever captured the imagination of, for Superman like Dick Donner did. Of course, he was at the right time, right place, but he worked so hard with Tom Mankiewicz to build out a great Superman movie, and it worked. And I watch it. I watch it every Sunday. And yes, it's kind of my thing. Some people go to church on a Sunday. I watch Superman the movie. Hey, sue me. What am I going to say? But anyway, that movie still works. It's still a very special movie. But how do you capture that genie in the bottle again? Is it with Henry Cavill? Can Henry Cavill play a more brighter, inspirational version of this character? Which is certainly what he wants to do. And I'm sure with the right writer-director, that could be possible. Of course, we don't know who's going to be writing this next Superman movie and who's going to be directing it. So it's very difficult to make predictions, because if you've got the right person, for example, Steven Spielberg could make, even at his age, could make a great Superman movie. I'm not certain it's him. There were a few rumours about him, but, there could have been any of a multiple amount of reasons why he was, there with Christopher Nolan and David Zaslav. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, Henry Cavill has said he's back as Superman. We saw him in the Black Adam post-credit scene. So he probably will be Superman in this next movie. But of course, there's also a little chance that he won't be. because this is Hollywood, this is DC, and this is Warner Brothers, and nothing's straightforward with these entities, as you and I have experienced. And it's been a very depressing time being a DC fan. Well, for the past decade at least, there's been some good films, but there's also been some bad films, and there's been some major disappointments. Now, David Zaslav, James Gunn and Peter Safran can't afford any more mistakes with Superman or this new DC universe as a whole. But yeah, for me, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility to choose a brand new actor to play Superman. I'm not saying that's what James Gunn, Safran and Zaslav are thinking of doing, but for me, I would be, in the right circumstances, I'd be more than happy for Henry to continue in the role. But also, if I was David Zaslav or James Gunn and someone brought me an actor who could bring something new to the character and who is slightly younger than Henry, I wouldn't be opposed to it either. Because I think that's important to understand, that it's not just Henry Cavill who can play Superman going forward. And so, I understand it's a confusing situation for the fans because none of us really know what's going to actually happen. You've got Henry Cavill telling us one thing. You've got certain DC social media platforms, official ones, congratulating Henry Cavill for coming back. You've got The Rock saying A, and then you've got James Gunn saying nothing, not even mentioning Superman. So it's a very, very odd, unique situation. But for me personally, I'd be very comfortable with another actor playing Superman. But that's because I would probably recast every single one of these characters. And I wouldn't even continue with Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa. I wouldn't. I would literally start again. I love Gal as Wonder Woman. I don't think you could find a better actor. But it's a difficult situation. It really is, everyone. We've seen what's happened to the DCEU. And I think if you want these actors to stay, because it's been messy, because we haven't really improved on things since Zack Snyder left the franchise. So that's the thing as well to think about. So I think, in a way, it would just be better to build out something fresh. And yeah, I think a new actor as Superman would be great, but I'm not saying I don't want to see Henry Cavill as Superman again, but I'm not opposed. That's what I'm saying. I'm not 100% saying it has to be Henry Cavill, and I know a lot of you believe it has to be Henry Cavill. Get in those comments and let me know what you think about that. But yeah, an important time. What's going on with DC Studios has to work. James Gunn is in the position of his career, and if he makes this work, I mean, he's going to go down in infamy. If he fails, he's also going to go down in infamy for all the wrong reasons. So there's a lot of pressure with this. Don't be fooled by James Gunn's kind of demeanor on social media. He's feeling the pressure because you'd have to be inhuman not to feel the pressure. This is a bigger pressure than building out the Guardians. This is a bigger pressure than working at the MCU, because DC is a lot more iconic than the MCU, and nobody's been able to succeed in a shared cinematic universe. And this is what James and Peter Safran, by the way, are being asked to do. So there's a lot of pressure there, because a lot of damage has been done to the DC brand in over the last decade. I mean, we can go back to films like Green Lantern. How many more bad movies can people take? Batman and Robin, Green Lantern, as I was talking about, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84. The general audience's perception of DC is Batman versus Superman. The general audience don't like Batman versus Superman. A lot of the general audience don't like MOS either. So to the general audience, it's the DC's like, oh, DC sucks. It doesn't suck, by the way, in my opinion. I love it, but I'm a huge biased fan. But to the people that matter, to the fans, the general audience, they've kind of given up on DC, and they've given up on Superman as well. So, but what's on our side is, we've got kind of the general audience's champion on our side this time, which is James Gunn. The general audience love James Gunn. He has a great reputation. This is why Zaslav has smartly chose him to build out a new DC universe alongside Peter Safran. because James is popular with the kids. People love Guardians, you know. So, and the holiday special is going down a treat, even though I haven't watched it because I'm boycotting Disney. I'm only boycotting new content. I'll watch the classics, Muppets Christmas Carol, Mickey's Christmas Carol. You ain't stopping me from watching that, right? But yeah, I won't go into it too deeply, but I'm not consuming new Disney content. No new Star Wars, no new MCU, none of it. I'm not interested. So anyway, I'm glad everyone's enjoying the Guardians holiday special. I'm getting a bit sick on my Twitter timeline of all the butt kissing to James Gunn. But there you go. That's life. It's not like I haven't done my share of butt kissing to directors and actors before, so I really can't talk. And so, yeah, it's one of those situations where people are kind of saying, yes, we want Henry Cavill to stay as Superman. And it's a kind of a weird situation to me because I don't know. I don't even know if that's what I want, because I was very excited when we found out he was going to be in the Black Adam post-credit scene, and he looks wonderful. And I think what he was saying after the movie was great. I like the man. And if we hear he's definitely playing Superman, I'm not going to be disappointed or anything, but I am in two minds as a fan. But I always put myself in the position of being the creative, whether it's my love of Doctor Who, DC, whatever, Highlander, whatever. I love so many great things in entertainment. So I always think about what I would do. And as I said earlier, what I would do is I would start from scratch. I would lighten a match, burn the DCEU, and start again. And just do something that, you know, hardcore DC fans want, and also something that can suck in the general audience. This is what the MCU did from really Avengers Assemble, the first Avengers movie. It sucked the general audience in because we'd never really seen a movie with kind of a conglomeration of different heroes fighting together, and that captured people's imaginations as well. And this is what has to happen with DC now. See, we've had the kind of auteur like Zack Snyder try to build out a universe. Unfortunately, we'll never know if that would have worked because we never gave the man a chance to finish and build out what he was planning. So, you know, we saw the reaction to MOS, BVS. There was a better reaction to Zack Snyder's Justice League, by the way, which is more of a positive movie in places. It's dark as well, but I think it did have a more positive vibe to it. And I think audiences did like Zack Snyder's Justice League more than they did BVS and MOS. And I'm talking about general audiences as well. So there's no more gambles. We can't use auteurs anymore. We've got people building out a brand new universe that has to make money and has to be beloved by different people from different walks of life. And, you know, they're the facts. So if we find out that Henry Cavill actually isn't playing Superman in this new DC universe, I'll be upset for the actor, I'll be upset for the fans, but I won't be angry, I won't be frustrated, as long as they cast the right person to play Superman, because there is actually a small list of actors who have played this character very successfully. You know, Christopher Reeve, we've had, you know, the Superboy TV series, we've had Dean Cain, not my Superman, but certainly lots of people love Dean as Superman, and I respect that. There's Tom Welling, there's Brandon Routh, there's Tyler Hoechlin. You know, as I say, it's just a small handful of actors who have played this character, and even if the kind of content they've been involved with hasn't always been great, they're beloved by different corners of the Superman fandom. And Henry Cavill will always go down as a great Superman. And unfortunately for him, he was surrounded by an environment, you know, infighting between studio, execs, director. You know, it's not his fault with what happened was. Now, I think he looks amazing in MOS. He looks like Superman. In BVS, he looks like Superman. I'm not talking about the narrative here. And the very little we see him in the Snyder Cut, he's a great Superman. So he can still be a great Superman. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I don't have any issue with Henry Cavill as Superman. I'm saying I won't be upset if they recast the character, because at the end of the day, even though it's a ruthless thing to do, I think maybe it could be the right thing to do. This has been Movies TV Mad with Sunday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. Here with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.